Hello everybody and welcome to the Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick. This is your number one non-boring source for personal development. Today on the line and on Skype video we have Mark Hartley. You can learn more about Mark Hartley at markhartleyonline.com. He's the author of If I Knew Then What I Know Now, and it's coming out in several editions. Right now they have the College Leader Edition, College Freshman Edition, and then also the Fraternity and Sorority Edition. He's also co-author of 10 Keys to Extraordinary Leadership. He's a renowned author, public speaker, and encourager of others' dreams. He's currently the Director of Student Leadership and Development at Cal State San Bernardino in Southern California, and professional speaker with Campus Speak. Mark, thank you so much for being on the Full Potential Show today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Now, I first of all, we'll start off, with your motto that you inspire everybody to live by, and that is to love what you do and feel that it matters. How could anything be more fun? And I couldn't agree more. So let's talk about your current role. I understand you work with a lot of youth, mostly geared towards college and some young professionals. But how did you get into the work that you're in right now?
Well, I work at Cal State San Bernardino, like you said. It's a medium-sized school here in Southern California. We're part of the largest school system in the entire country, 23 schools in this Cal State system. San Diego State, Fresno State, Northridge, all these schools are part of this thing. Our school, more than any other school, has the greatest amount of diversity on our campus. So it's an exciting place to work, and it really gives me an opportunity to work with a lot of different, not just ethnicities, but socioeconomic folks, people with just different mindsets. It's a great place to be. So your question of how did I get into this, after I graduated from college, I went to the University of Redlands. I was, of all things, an Asian studies major. I'm thinking about my friends out in Japan right now, as a matter of fact. But I graduated, and the economy was kind of like it is now. There just wasn't a whole lot going on, either here in America for anybody with an Asian studies degree or over in Japan. And I worked at the time at a hotel where I was basically schlepping bags. I was a bellman, taking bags to front rooms. And the biggest accomplishment that I felt like I could have on the world was if somebody left their luggage at the hotel, I could get in the van, drive it to them before their plane took off. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And I just started to reflect on people that had a true impact on me, and those people were really the folks that I dealt with on a professional level while I was a college student. And I saw the impact that they had and how they helped me develop my leadership skills. And I said, if there's ever an opportunity for me to get back involved with working with college students so I can give back to those that have given to me, I want to take advantage of it.
So it was moving to a position where you could have this leverage to impact in a positive way.
Absolutely. My life had been changed in college. I felt like I had gone from a zero to a hero in college. And it was just an awesome feeling to know, hey, I've got some potential out here. But more importantly, somebody else believes in me enough to give me some leadership ability and skills.
Now, I'd like to touch on, a little bit about what's happening in the current market in the world today, and how that's affecting, college students. Because you came out of college at a time, you had a degree, and then you started working as a bellman at this resort. That's where you started to meet with a lot of these experts, I understand, and leaders that you were interviewing and kind of developing this model for success. And then you went back into this college environment because you felt like you'll have the most leverage to influence these kids. First of all, what do you think they're coming into? I mean, coming out of college, they're coming into a very similar environment that you were in. If jobs aren't waiting for them, what do you suggest to the students that you're working with right now?
The truth of the matter is, there are no jobs waiting for these students, and they need to realize this. So what? And what I tell my college students is, when you look at history, there were more millionaires that were made during the Great Depression than any other time prior to that. This is a time of epic opportunity. And I want students to be entrepreneurial in their mind. Yeah, it'd be great to get a job, but that shouldn't be the only thing that you're doing. Are you setting up your own business in some capacity? Are you utilizing your skills and abilities to the best of their use? And oftentimes, it's not in a job that we can use our best abilities, but it's in being the master of our own domain, the captain of our own ship. And I'm telling these students, you need to own your own business. There's greater tax advantages for those that own their own businesses. There's more freedom. And we are in a position where we can't depend on a company or the government to take care of us. We've got to get back to what this country was on, which was freedom. And I really believe that more and more students are embracing that and understanding that and starting their own business, not even after graduation, but while they're in college.
I think it's so great that you're encouraging them to do that, because really, ultimately, that is the kind of marketplace that we're finding right now. When you come out, there's going to be a lot of, and the technology and everything is making it more possible, but the big corporations now are going to be kind of breaking down, and they have been downsizing, but now the people need to take the initiative and start their businesses and do their passions.
Absolutely.
And I think that ties into your motto, too, of doing what you love and doing something that matters. And you're not going to care for anything more than doing something that you have a stake in.
No, absolutely. I often tell people, when's the last time you washed a rental car? You know, if you don't own it, you're not taking care of it. You're not going out and improving it. You're just maintaining the status quo. But when you own something, there's this pride of ownership. There's, you know, if it's meant to be, it's up to me type of attitude. And I believe, honestly, that we can do more for our country and for ourselves by working, you know, for number one here, you know. And this isn't to be selfish, to be honest with you. Just like in the Great Depression, there are going to be people that don't take advantage of the opportunities, and they're going to be suffering. But it's the people that are going to have some financial leverage that are going to be able to help those people out. And I think that's one thing that we need to think about.
And a lot of your teaching centers around teaching these leadership skills to people. A lot of your work centers around leadership, Mark. So, you know, I think first of all, you're telling them to take responsibility for their lives and for their destiny. And I think that's one of the most important parts of being a leader. So from there, what are some of the strategies that you're giving them and that is very helpful to the audience, especially the young audience watching today, once they've decided, and I really do think it takes a decision, that I am going to take control of my destiny and I'm going to create the life that I want to create. What are some of the other keys or strategies that you offer to leaders?
The number one thing, I think, is let's find a mentor. Let's find somebody out there that's done what you've already done. You know, why reinvent the wheel? If there's somebody that is where you want to be, let's find them. And here's what I know about true leaders. If I've succeeded and somebody comes and approaches me and says, can you tell me how you did it? I mean, first of all, my ego's a little bit, you know, puffed up. I'm flattered. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I share what I've learned along the way? And you know this more than anybody probably, that nobody succeeds on their own. You know, you need a team of people. You need people helping you. So people that are at a place of leadership are more than willing to give back. So find a mentor, I think, is the number one.
And that goes right along with full potential. You want to upgrade your map, and who better than the people that have already done it?
Absolutely, absolutely. The number two thing that I think is we need to set some goals. We need to put it down in writing. There's something magical about putting pencil to paper and saying, not only am I going to do this, but I'm going to do it by this date. And then every day looking at it, having it taped up on your mirror in the bathroom, and looking at it every day and saying, these are my goals, this is where I'm going. And somehow the world, things just start to fall into place when you set a goal and start to tell other people about, here's what I'm going to do. Next thing you know, oh yeah, I've got a brother-in-law that's in that industry. Maybe I ought to talk to them. Or, you know, doors seem to open up when you put things in writing. So I think those things, find a mentor and set a goal.
And I think it's so simple. I mean, everybody can do that. Anybody who's watching right now can find a mentor doing something in a field related to what they want to get into and what they want to do, and set some goals. Now, one thing I know about goal setting is a lot of people get discouraged. You know, sometimes they aren't on mark, so to speak, in terms of how they're setting their goals. Sometimes it's either too far out there or it's not juicy enough, and so it just doesn't happen. I think starting out, it's easy to set goals, and then if you get discouraged a few times, you set a timeline too far out or too short in. Sometimes people don't set goals anymore because they just don't want to disappoint themselves. What recommendations do you have for people in terms of setting goals, setting realistic goals, and hitting the mark?
No, that's a really good question. And I've been one to get discouraged by goals myself, so I totally understand this. I think we need to take it in some steps. Number one step, wouldn't it be nice just to have first of all, it feels good to hit your goals. So let's set some goals that we're going to hit. Get up, check that off your list. Take a shower, check that off your list. Sometimes we set these, outlandish goals, and of course we're going to get discouraged. But let's also have some goals padded in there for things that we know that we're going to do. And just that feeling, to check something off the list really makes a difference.
I think that's huge.
Let me give you an example. I had a chance to. I wrote this book, the If I Knew Then What I Know Now, the College Leader Edition, and it was written every morning for 90 days at 5 a.m. I set the alarm clock at 4:30 every morning. Did I have a passion to write at 4:30? No. Did I have inspiration at 4:30? No.
Yeah.
But I set a goal to write this book, and I set the alarm every morning until the book was written, and I got up and just did it. And I think that's the key thing. Sometimes showing up is 90% of. We've got to do what we say we're going to do, or at least put ourselves in a position to do what we say we're going to do.
And I think that's such a great point, Mark. There's one of the great artists, and the name's not coming to me right now, but what he said is, inspiration will come, but it must find you working. And so many people think I need to feel a certain way before I can work. But what you're saying is, no, set the goal, be there, show up, and the inspiration will come once you've started. And I found the same thing true in my own writing.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Show up. Just show up and start.
And it doesn't matter what work it is. It could be writing. It could be something else. But setting the goal of showing up is something that's realistic. It's achievable. You're going to do it. And then the other goal that you've set, that kind of the result of showing up, that will kind of come about as a byproduct of showing up and investing the time. I think that's a great way of looking at setting goals. Set the goal of being there at a certain time, showing up, and then have kind of what the consequence of that would be. Whereas I think some people work backwards. They set the consequence they want, and then they don't show up. They don't do the work in between. So excellent point.
And that's a frustrating place to be. You don't want to be there. So
yeah, no, it is frustrating.
What's in those?
So now let's talk about some other aspects of being a strong leader. A lot of the kids coming out of college maybe don't even have the experience of leading anything. Even if they were in college, maybe they didn't lead the council or lead the fraternity or sorority. How does somebody go from a position of being a student and learning about leadership to actually leading something, or taking responsibility for their life to create something where they are the leader of it? What do you think is sort of the step to do that?
Well, and this is one of the reasons I love working on a college campus. Students can fail here, and it's going to be okay. They've got a safety net where if it all blows up, they're still going to be all right. So exactly what you were saying. If a college student says, how do I get some leadership skills? I'll tell them, get involved with a club or organization, join a fraternity or sorority. If somebody that's maybe after college but hasn't gained those skills, the number one thing I would say is volunteer. Our country, our communities, we need people out there helping out.
Yes.
What's the better way to develop leadership skills than by helping out somebody else? Get involved with Boys and Girls Club or Youth of America, whatever the case might be. Get involved. That's the key.
And I think that's such a great point too, Mark, because I think so many kids, you hear conversations, young people, and they say, well, I want to do this, but there's no money in that. Or I want to do this, but there's no money in that. And yes, money is a reality, but some of these other things, like the development of skills, being around mentors like you were working at the resort, looking at it from that perspective of what is going to set the foundation for the future that could involve great sums of money. Starting from that place and saying, I want to lay the foundation even if there's not much there other than a great foundation. In developing these skills that these kids are going to go out into the real world and do, rather than looking at it like there's not money in that, instead, kind of like what you did. I mean, I'm sure there wasn't a lot of money in being a bellman coming right out of college and having a degree, but you did, in a way, I don't know if you did it strategically or if you did it kind of unconsciously, you positioned yourself in a place where you could build a great foundation. You were around mentors and people that could help you build this model of success in your brain as you're asking them all kinds of questions. I mean, if we're in an environment right now where people don't have the immediate get-rich-quick kind of track available, is the next best thing to have this great environment or this great foundation that you can build on, the skills and the people that will eventually take you where you want to go?
Absolutely. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a career. I mean, it can just be a change of your lifestyle. How do I put myself in a position where the people are that I want to be around. You hear stories all the time about, Kelly Clarkson, for instance. Now, she made it big on American Idol, but she stood outside of record studios, singing to the VPs as they walked out. Just how can I get my name heard? And although that wasn't the way she made it, she was around those people. So when she blew up, now she's got some contact.
And that showed the tenaciousness, too, of how passionate. She wasn't just saying she was going to sing or try out for American Idol and was let go. She had all these different avenues that she was trying, and one worked, but it was that tenaciousness of, I'm going to try every avenue.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in my particular case, I did. I mean, I'm driving a van to and from the airport, sitting next to VPs and CEOs of companies. Well, I could either turn on the radio and we could rock out to it, or I could start asking questions about, well, how did you make it to where you are? What are some of the keys to success you found along your journey? Who are some of the people that you got to know to help put you in the position that you're in now? So I think we can always utilize our environment to better our situation. If we can't take jobs for what we can earn, we need to take jobs for what we can learn.
Beautiful.
And make sure that we position ourselves to always get something. And this is just a life lesson, a life skill that I've developed. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm either learning something from it or I'm getting better. One of the two has got to happen in every circumstance that I'm in. That's just the bottom line.
And so you're always you're always evaluating, am I getting a return from how I'm using my time, whether it's the job or the work, and not just in money-wise, but in learning or in emotional fulfillment.
That's it, absolutely. And if you've got that attitude, you win in every situation. That helps with your goal setting as well.
So, all right, so I'm gonna wrap up here now. Mark, let's see, the markhartleyonline.com. Now, do you have your books there on the website?
The books are on the website, so people can just go there and get to them. I wanted to make one statement. I've recently changed agencies. I was with Campus Speak, which is one of the great agencies in the college market. I'm now with Coleman Productions, also a phenomenal agency. Excited to be with them. So if people would like for me to come and speak on their campus or corporation, whatever, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, and who's the agency to do that with?
Coleman Productions.
Coleman Productions? Okay.
Yeah, Coleman Productions with an S.com. They can go to that website.
Coleman Productions with an S.com. MarkHartleyOnline.com. You can find his books on there. Mark, some great lessons for young people out there, and I think you're giving them a very real picture of what to expect. There's not going to be a lot of jobs out there. You've got to start creating your own opportunities and look for that positioning, maybe even before you get out of college.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mark Hartley, thank you so much for being on the Full Potential Show.
It was awesome.
All right.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Full Potential Show, your number one non-boring source for personal development. I'm James Rick, and if you want to get more positive programming for your brain absolutely free on a weekly basis, just visit fullpotential.com.